The most general definition of philosophy is that it is the pursuit of wisdom, truth, and knowledge. Indeed, the word itself means love of wisdom in Greek. Whenever people think about deep, fundamental questions concerning the nature of the universe and ourselves, the limits of human knowledge, their values and the meaning of life, they are thinking about philosophy. Philosophical thinking is found in all parts of the world, present and past. In the academic world, philosophy distinguishes a certain area of study from all other areas, such as the sciences and other humanities. Philosophers typically consider questions that are, in some sense, broader and/or more fundamental than other inquirers' questions. Physicists ask what caused some event. Philosophers ask whether causation even exists. Historians study figures who fought for justice. Philosophers ask what justice is, or whether their causes were in fact just. Economists study the allocation of capital. Philosophers debate the ethical merits of capital. When a topic becomes amenable to rigorous empirical study, it tends to be outsourced to its own field, and not described as philosophy anymore. The natural sciences were once called natural philosophy. But we don't now just think about whether matter is composed of atoms or infinitely divisible. We use scientific experiments. And most of the different doctoral degrees are called Doctor of Philosophy, even when they're in sociology or chemistry. Philosophical questions can't be straightforwardly investigated through purely empirical means. For example, try to imagine a lab experiment testing whether society should privilege equality over freedom not. Whether people believe we should, but whether we actually should. What does moral importance look like in a microscope? The main method of academic philosophy is to construct and evaluate arguments, reasons intended to justify some conclusion. Such conclusions might be that some theory is true or false, or might be about the correct analysis or definition of some concept. These arguments generally have at least some conceptual, intellectual, or a priori, i.e. non-empirical, content. And philosophers often incorporate relevant scientific knowledge as premises in arguments. Philosophy deals with fundamental questions, but which questions, specifically, is philosophy about? Here's a standard categorization. Logic. Logicians study good and bad arguments and reasoning, and they study formal, symbolic languages intended to express propositions, sentences, or arguments. Metaphysics. Metaphysicians study what sorts of entities exist, what the world and its constituents are made of, and how objects or events might cause or explain each other. Epistemology. Epistemologists study knowledge, evidence, and justified belief. An epistemologist might study whether we can trust our senses and whether science is trustworthy. Values in value theory. Philosophers study morality, politics, and art, among other topics. For example, what makes wrong actions wrong? How do we identify good people and good lives? What makes a society just or unjust? There are many sub-branches within these fields, many other fields. The sciences, art, literature, and religion have a philosophy attached to them. For example, philosophers of science might help interpret quantum mechanics. Philosophers of religion often consider arguments about the existence of God. There are also unique and important philosophical discussions about certain populations or communities, such as feminist philosophy and Africana philosophy. People from all cultures contribute to philosophy. more than are typically discussed in Western philosophy courses. Western academic philosophy has often neglected voices from non-Western cultures and women's voices. Philosophers sometimes import tools, knowledge, and language from other fields, such as using the formal tools of statistics in epistemology and the insights from special relativity in the philosophy of time. When your project is understanding all of existence in the broadest and most fundamental way, you need all the help you can get. Academic philosophy doesn't present a body of consensus knowledge the way chemistry and physics do. Do philosophical questions have correct answers? Does philosophical progress exist? Does philosophy get closer to the truth over time? These are all matters of philosophical debate, and philosophical debates are rarely resolved with certainty. So what's the point? Here are some answers. To discover truth, wherever and whatever it is. To learn how to better live our lives. To understand our own views, including their strengths and weaknesses. To examine our own lives and be more conscious of our choices and their implications. To learn how to better think and reason. Recall, the main method of philosophy is to present and examine arguments. And arguably, all of us are already naturally interested in at least some philosophical questions. Many people find that philosophy is a lot of fun, and it's difficult to dispute that it is very important to find the answers to philosophical questions, if the answers exist. It's important to know, for instance, that slavery is wrong, and whether scientific consensus is generally trustworthy. So as long as it's at least possible to find the answers to these questions, we should try. Also, there are strong correlations between studying philosophy and high achievement in other academic areas, such as GRE scores and professional school admission. We've contrasted philosophy with other fields. We've looked at the branches of philosophy, and we've looked at the purposes or benefits of philosophy. But what is philosophy, really? Given everything we've said so far, we can provide at least a partial definition of philosophy as follows. A largely known empirical inquiry that attempts to identify and answer fundamental questions about the world, including about what's valuable and disvaluable. Is this a good definition? That's a philosophical question too.